Do you want to write stories that grab readers' attention like Game of Thrones? Today I'm sharing 10 lessons I learned from George R. Martin and how to apply each one so you stop getting stuck and finally write books people can't put down. I am AJ Nocturne, horror and dark fantasy author, and if you want to build a daily writing habit and draft your first novel, make sure to hit subscribe and grab the free novel starter kit with the link in the description. So let's begin. Lesson 1. Write about what obsesses you. Martin says you shouldn't write about what's fashionable. Don't write just for algorithms or just to sell. Many writers do that, and they follow trends and they jump from one trend and one fad to another, hoping to succeed. But for a sustainable career, it's better to write the story that's burning inside you. The one you can't get out of your head. The one you would write even if nobody read it, just for yourself. When he wrote the first chapter of Game of Thrones, for example, he did it in 3 days. It wasn't planned, and that scene with the direwolf pups came out of nowhere. The weather, the story, the snow, the children, the Starks, and from that one scene, his whole universe was born. So that idea that's eating you up inside, give it a chance. Write it, refine it, and you never know what might come next. Lesson 2. Don't be afraid to discover the story as you write. Martin isn't one of those writers who makes lots of sketches, outlines, and schemes before writing. He considers himself more like a gardener than an architect. He plants the idea, waters it, and watches how it grows. You don't always need to have the whole plan ready and detailed with an encyclopedia about your story before you start. Sometimes the best comes when you simply let your characters take control and guide you where their story goes. But be careful, even a gardener knows if they planted a potato or a rose bush. So be clear about the type of story you are cultivating, the one you want to tell. Even if you don't yet know the ending or the final form it will take. And even if you're someone who plans everything with mind maps, timelines, writing schedules, all of that, everything can change as you go. You have to be flexible and accept that. Lesson 3. Internal conflict is always the most important thing for characters. Faulkner said the only subject worth writing about is the human heart, the conflict within oneself. And George R. R. Martin applies this like no one else. Doesn't matter if the characters are on a spaceship, in a medieval castle, or in your neighborhood, in an everyday story. If they don't have real internal dilemmas, a true quest, a big pain, flaws, and struggles, then the story won't work. In Martin's stories, Tyrion, Cersei, and Arya are all fighting with their own wounds, traumas, demons, and their impossible desires. And that's what moves them forward. And that's what makes you relate to them and care about each one of them. Lesson 4. Push your characters to the limit. He loves to do that. A good story isn't about a hero for whom everything goes well, where everything is smooth and they get lucky all the time. The best stories are about someone who ends up hurt, loses everything, doubts themselves, hits rock bottom, and has no choice but to rebuild and move forward. Think of Jaime Lannister, who loses his right hand. For him, that hand was everything. His identity as a swordsman, as a knight, and when he loses it, he has to reinvent himself, learn to use his other hand, and rebuild his whole persona. That's what transforms the reader too. Lesson 5. Death has to matter. How does Martin like to end his characters? He says it clearly. If you're going to write about war, a real conflict where so much is at stake, treat it honestly. In a real conflict, anyone can lose their lives at any moment, and that has to be reflected in your fiction. If your reader feels everyone is safe all the time just because they're main characters, you lose their attention. There's nothing surprising left. Your job is to make them doubt, make them suffer a little bit. Only then does the story feel alive and real, and only then can you create that sense of something being at stake, that kind of fear in the reader, the fear of losing that character. That uncertainty keeps them turning the pages. Lesson 6. Build worlds that feel alive. Martin's world feels real because to him it is. All the heraldry, shields, families, lineage, banquets, maps, and everything that goes in there, none of it is filler. It's what makes readers dive in and feel like they are inside the universe. They can even imagine the smell or taste of the food at the feasts. So dare to design cultures, customs, even religions, whatever you like, or more like whatever your story needs. You don't have to show it all at once or explain everything at the beginning with very long prologues or manuals about your book, but you do need to know it yourself. And if you want your readers to know it too, reveal it little by little through the story, through the characters, and their experiences. Lesson 7. Immerse the reader in each scene. Martin doesn't just tell you what's happening. He makes you live it. Every dialogue, every meal, every glance, every confrontation is written so you feel it. So you step into the character who's narrating that chapter. This is the famous show, don't tell. Your goal is for the reader to feel like they are there, that what's happening is happening to them in that very moment. That's what makes it impossible to put the book down. They feel the danger, the fear, the emotions, and they need to know how it ends. Lesson 8. Learn from other formats. Learn from other genres, media, and formats. When Martin began working on the TV series, it taught him to cut scenes at key moments, to leave cliffhangers so people keep reading, to switch points of view, and to create a better rhythm. He started applying this in his books, and that's why each one is better and better than the last. He says, learn from series, films, scripts, even podcasts. Everything nourishes your storytelling and teaches you how to structure your chapters better, as if they were scenes or acts of a larger work, full of tension at the end. So the reader has no choice but to keep reading. Lesson 9. Improvise with direction. The garden can grow, but you need to give it direction, control it, and cut what gets out of hand. As we said before, Martin doesn't plan everything, but he does know where he is going. He has a clear idea of his character's fates. You can improvise. Let the characters guide you. Let the dialogue flow. Let the story unfold. But you need a North Star. You need to know where you are heading. Otherwise, you'll get lost and end up somewhere else. Even if along the way you change that destination or take another route, you still know more or less where you're going. And everything you write will serve that final result. That makes it much easier not to get blocked. And lesson 10, write even if nobody reads you. Martin puts it this way. Even in moments when he thought he would never publish another book, he never doubted he would keep writing, that he would finish his story. Please let him finish it once and for all. Because that's what makes you a true writer. Writing. You write because you have to, because the story calls you, because it's deep in your mind and it won't leave you alone. On this channel, I'll talk a lot about selling your art, writing to sell more books, to please your readers, and starting your career as a writer. But in the end, even if you don't publish, even if you don't make money from this, or if it takes longer than you hope it would, if you keep writing, even just for yourself, you are still a writer. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The only thing that matters is that you are writing, and that you keep writing, and that you don't give up. And when the day comes that you do want to share your work with the world, after so much practice and writing, it will be so good that you will find the right readers, and they will enjoy your stories. So, those are the 10 ideas I got from George R.R. Martin after watching several interviews and hearing how he explains his process. And hopefully one day he will finish his books. But these lessons sum up his philosophy of writing, the way he approaches his books with depth and detail, always improving and always keeping readers hooked. So leave a comment and tell me which one of these ideas stood out the most to you and which one are you gonna try today. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss any of my next videos. And I see you in the next one. Happy writing!